All right, so today we're going to unravel the absolutely incredible story of Pluto. It's this amazing tale of cosmic ghost hunts, some pretty big math mistakes, and in the end, these stunning revelations that completely changed how we see our own solar system.
You know, most of us grew up learning there were 9 planets, right? But then back in 2006, one of them just kind of vanished from the list. And this wasn't just some simple reclassification. Oh no, it was really the climax of a scientific mystery that had been building for more than 150 years.
I mean, think about it. For over 75 years, from its discovery in 1930 all the way to 2006, Pluto was our 9th planet. It's just a fact of life. So, to really get why that all changed, we've got to go way, way back, long before anyone even knew Pluto existed.
Okay, let's really dive into this part of the story. It doesn't actually start with Pluto. Nope. It starts with Uranus and this weird, mysterious wobble in its orbit that astronomers back in the 1800s just could not figure out using the laws of gravity.
I mean, the logic was solid, right? They saw Uranus wasn't moving quite right, so they figured something big and invisible must be out there pulling on it with its gravity. And it worked. They predicted where this new planet should be, and bam, they found Neptune. A huge win for science. But even after accounting for Neptune, there was still a tiny wobble left over. So the hunt was back on for this phantom they called Planet X.
So this is where a guy named Percival Lowell comes in, and when I say he was dedicated, I mean he was obsessed. The man poured his fortune and basically his whole life into this cosmic ghost hunt, even building the now famous Lowell Observatory specifically to find this mystery world. But sadly, he died in 1916, never having found his prize.
The search eventually gets passed down to this 23-year-old, self-taught astronomer from Kansas named Clyde Tombaugh. And his job, well, it was the painstaking, absolutely grueling task of comparing photographic plates of the night sky, just looking for any tiny little speck that moved. His method was just meticulous. He would take pictures of the exact same patch of sky, but on different nights. The idea was that against the fixed, unchanging background of all those distant stars, anything closer, like a planet, would look like it had moved from one photo to the next. And then, on February 18, 1930, while he's comparing photos he'd taken weeks earlier, he saw it. A tiny little speck of light that had shifted its position. After all those decades of searching, everyone thought Planet X had finally been found. The whole world celebrated. We had a 9th planet. And the name? Pluto? It was actually suggested by an 11-year-old girl over in England. She thought the name of the god of the dark, distant underworld was a perfect fit. But here's the thing. There was a huge problem lurking just beneath the surface. Nobody knew what Pluto really was. See, astronomers just assumed that Pluto had to be massive, a real giant, to cause that wobble in Uranus's orbit. But as our telescopes got better and better over the decades, the estimated size of Pluto just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The real turning point, the big plot twist, came in 1978 when astronomers discovered Pluto's moon, Charon. Now this is so cool because the laws of physics are very clear. If you can measure how fast a moon is orbiting, you can calculate the exact mass of the planet it's going around. For the very first time, we could finally put Pluto on a scale. And the result was, well, it was absolutely stunning. Pluto was a featherweight. It was tiny, only 0.2% the mass of Earth. There was just no way something that small could be tugging on giants like Uranus and Neptune. It couldn't possibly be Planet X. So that just created a brand new mystery, right? If Pluto was just an imposter that happened to be in the right place at the right time, then what was the real Planet X? Was there still some other giant planet hiding out there in the dark? Well, it turns out the real culprit wasn't another planet at all. As the Voyager 2 spacecraft flew by Neptune, it gave us the most precise measurements we'd ever had of the ice giant. And the answer? It turned out to be something much, much simpler. It was a rounding error, a simple mistake. The original calculations for Neptune's mass were off by just 0.5%. That's it. Once you plug the correct mass into the equations, the wobbles in Uranus's orbit, they completely disappear. There was no Planet X. There never was. The entire 150-year search was based on a mistake. And Pluto? Well, Pluto was discovered completely by accident. So even though it was found by mistake, Pluto stayed as our beloved 9th planet for decades.
I mean, why not? But then, in 2005, the discovery of another new world out in the darkness forced astronomers to rethink, well, everything.
So they discovered this distant object named Eris. And here was the problem. Eris was even more massive than Pluto. So does that make Eris the 10th planet? And if it does, what about the hundreds of other Pluto-sized objects we were starting to find out there? Astronomers basically had a choice. Either start adding a lot more planets to the list or completely redefine what a planet even is.
So, in 2006, the International Astronomical Union basically laid down 3 new rules to settle it once and for all. And Pluto, it easily met the first 2. It orbits the sun? Check. It has enough gravity to pull itself into a round ball? Yup, check. But it failed on that third and most crucial rule.
So what on earth does clearing the neighborhood even mean? Well, think of it this way. A planet has to be the gravitational boss of its own orbit. And Pluto, well, it isn't. It shares its orbital space with tons of other icy bodies out in the Kuiper Belt. It just doesn't have the gravitational oomph to control its own zone. And just like that, Pluto was officially reclassified as a dwarf planet.
But this story does not end with a demotion. Not even close. Because in 2015, after a 9-year journey across the solar system, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft finally arrived. And it revealed that Pluto wasn't some failed planet, it was something far more incredible. For the very first time, we saw Pluto's stunning surface, and it's dominated by this massive, heart-shaped glacier made of nitrogen ice. What's amazing is that it's geologically alive. The ice is constantly churning, like a slow-motion lava lamp, erasing any impact craters and keeping the surface perfectly smooth. This world is active.
And if that wasn't enough, we also discovered ice volcanoes. Yeah, you heard that right. Instead of spewing hot lava, these cryovolcanoes erupt a frigid slush of water, methane, and ammonia from Pluto's insides. It proves that this tiny, distant world is shockingly dynamic.
Pluto is just a world of incredible complexity. It has a thin blue atmosphere, these strange organic compounds that literally paint its surface red, and get this, scientists think there could be a vast liquid water ocean buried deep beneath its icy shell.
So Pluto's story really teaches us that a demotion isn't an ending. It's a reclassification that actually revealed an entirely new, incredible kingdom of worlds at the edge of our solar system, the Kuiper Belt, with Pluto as its undisputed king. It really leaves you wondering, if this is what we find on a so-called dwarf planet, what other incredible wonders are still hiding out there in the dark? Thanks for watching.